Welcome to CS 225, Computer User Support. I am your instructor, Robert McMillen, and this is the presentation video for Module 4. Our chapter objectives are the mission of a support group and the features of a mission statement, items in a typical user support budget, staffing a help desk, support staff training programs, evaluations of support staff performance, industry certifications for support professionals. Going to want to pay close attention to that, professional help desk and user support associations, and ethical principles. Reasons to study user support management. Applicants for support positions need to understand the perspective of support managers. Support specialists in small organizations often perform some management tasks, such as project lead or coordinator, supervisory or lead worker responsibilities, user support group management. So just even though you may not have a management title, there may still be some management tasks, as everyone is usually in charge of something, especially in a smaller organization. Managerial concerns, budget, staffing, training, and performance. Example of a user support mission statement. So our mission statement is the guiding principles that communicate support goals and objectives to staff, users, and management. Every business has a mission statement, and each department can also have mission statements, such as the help desk or computer user support department. An example, the mission of a user support group is to maximize operational efficiency among users in an organization by providing timely resolution to technology use questions. Or number 2, effectively manage problems to continuously improve various different categories. A budget is a financial plan for that a manager prepares and translates mission statement goals into a strategy to meet the goals. There are several budget categories, such as revenue and expense. And under expense, you've got personnel and facilities. Facilities could be the computers, the desks, the phone, etc. Factors that influence support budgets. The kind of users supported, internal versus external. Who are you supporting? How services are provided. Are they face-to-face, telephone, email, web-based? Of course, things done over the internet or phone are going to be a lot cheaper. The range of services provided, full service, partial service, telephone, hotline. The number of support workers impacts the number of supervisors. So the more support workers you need, the more managers you're going to need. The cost of facilities, what type of expense is being incurred in the office. There's class A, B, C, etc. types of locations that could make a difference in the cost of being at that location. The kinds of expenses, one-time capital outlay versus ongoing operating expenses or leases. Revenue sources, is there a fee for your service to provide to the client, or is it something that's included? Subscription fees, per seat fees, how are these things being charged? Service level agreement contracts, a lot of our agreements in our office are all SLA agreement contracts. Support bundled with product price, sometimes when a company sells a product, they include support for a certain amount of time. Hardware repair income, other revenue sources, training materials, and sales of hardware, software, accessories. Personal expenses include staff salaries and wages and other staffing costs such as benefits, paid leave, taxes. Staff recruiting costs, just finding an employee is sometimes expensive. Professional education and development in order to keep the employee up to date. Staffing overhead costs are supervision, accounting, administration, and HR. So it costs a lot to have an employee, not just the salary. Facilities expenses, you have office space, which includes furniture, utilities, and janitorial services. Equipment, the workstations, the office equipment, and the maintenance. Of course, you got to have software on the computers. You have help desk software, office, and other applications. Supplies, paper, pen, etc. Communications, a phone, internet access, mobile devices. All important when staffing a help desk. Some of you are not going to just be help desk staff. At some point, you may become staffing management. So you're going to need to be aware of what challenges can come up, such as how many help desk staff are needed to meet the level of service demands efficiently. So you need to have sufficient staff to meet the demand and need to keep staff to a minimum to avoid idle agents and unproductive payroll expenses. You don't want to have too many, you don't want to have too few. Erlang is a unit of traffic, such as user incidents, in a given time period. Erlang calculations estimate the number of help desk agents required to meet peak and off-peak incident volumes. Something you want to keep in mind for upcoming quizzes. Recruiting help desk agents. Use mission statements and budget as a basis for staff planning. Analyze the knowledge, skills, and abilities needed. Write position descriptions. Prepare advertising for open positions. Either you could use web-based or paper-based or Craigslist, whatever you want. Screen applications received for best matches with KSAs. Interview applicants with the best combination of KSAs, and check applicant employment references. Typical KSAs for help desk agents: hardware, operating system, and application software proficiencies. These are all skills that a help desk agent needs to have. Specific technical skills needed for an open position: network skills, internet and web expertise, troubleshooting and problem solving, communication, listening, reading, writing, work experience as a project team leader, and understanding of information systems and business perspective. Experience with Intel-compatible hardware platforms is pretty common. Skilled in use and support of a local area network, a LAN, Windows XP, 7, Vista, and of course now Windows 8. Working knowledge of Microsoft Office applications, all the different ones: Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, Publisher, OneNote, Access, they're all there. The ability to troubleshoot technical problems, of course, that's going to be key. The ability to communicate effectively with users, other agents, and managers. Your ability to troubleshoot may get you the job, but your ability to communicate will keep that job. The ability to work as an effective member of a support team. It's all about the team. Knowledge and skills test questions are categories of interview questions that you may have. I do interview a lot of people for help desk and other positions, and of course I check their knowledge. Traditional interview questions: you have directed questions, you have non-directed questions, behavioral, scenario, and stress tolerance. Let's talk about those in depth. Knowledge and skills tests. These type of tests measure an applicant's knowledge and problem-solving abilities. Interview questions about an applicant's educational work background. These are all appropriate things to be asking, such as determine whether the applicant has specific qualifications. Non-directed questions give the applicant an opportunity to talk in general terms about his or her qualifications. So talk a little bit about yourself, what your experiences are. Behavioral questions ask the applicant to describe actions he or she took in a specific situation. So before you go into an interview, you want to make sure that you have some examples of where things went well and things did not go well, and what you did about those particular incidents. Scenario questions give the applicant a specific problem representative of those that agents actually encounter. So you can give, if you're a help desk type of a office that supports Windows computers, you may want to ask how they would fix a specific Windows problem that comes up, such as printing. Stress tolerance assessment, an interview environment designed to evaluate an applicant's performance under pressure. So sometimes you may get tested in a environment that's noisy, there's a lot of interruptions, that kind of thing, just to see how you're able to handle that. There are some types of illegal questions, so if you flip this around and you are the interviewer, there are certain things you cannot ask. Age, ethnicity, marital status, anything about kids, sexual orientation, religious affiliation, disabilities, except to determine the need for accommodations under ADA. So you need to ask the question, do you have any disabilities that would keep you performing this job, or are there some aids that we are able to provide that may compensate for that? If the answer is that they do have disabilities and there are no accommodations available, then you do not have to hire that person. Orientations for new staff: organizational structure, including management, organizational culture, policies and procedures, payroll and employee benefits, specific job skill training, help desk tools, support groups, performance appraisals, and performance development. So let's talk about ongoing help desk training. It requires scheduled downtime for agents. You've got to pull them out of doing their job in order to train them. The goal is to keep help desk staff current with changes in computer and help desk technology. Professional growth and development is a joint responsibility of the company and help desk staff members. Attend conferences, training sessions, and workshops, and reading trade publications. All a good idea for professional growth. Performance appraisal. This will happen on a regular basis. Could be quarterly, annually, lots of different ways, depends on the company. The process to evaluate support agents according to established criteria. The good news is usually when you get an appraisal, if you've done well, you will get additional compensation or bonuses. They're based on supporting the mission statement, based on position description, related to employees' professional growth objectives, and if they were met, and workers' prior performance appraisal. It's all about improvement during these types of appraisals. You want to make sure that you have increased your knowledge, increased your certifications, increased something that helps you do your job better if you're going to want to see the best type of improvement in your salary. Common performance appraisal tools are performance statistics, monitored calls, checking out to see how you handled certain calls, and results of user satisfaction surveys. So you want to make sure that you do well so people will say good things about you. Objectives, performance statistics, objective data collected to evaluate a user support or help desk operation. An example would be how long it took you to resolve an incident, the percent of abandoned incidents, average resolution time, percentage of problems that could not be resolved and had to be escalated, percentage of closed incidents that had to be reopened. That could be very frustrating. Number of unresolved incidents and cost per incident. So if you're able to make those times better every year, then you will continue to improve in your salary. Most useful, the statistics are most useful when compared across times of the day, days of the week. So you have to have a trend over time, and they can be computed for an entire support organization, a help desk team, and to compare employees' performance. So compare you to other employees in the system. Often used to justify the need and budget for support services. The satisfaction survey is a questionnaire to measure how satisfied users are with support services, specifically your support services. The contents include general questions about the support and questions about specific support staff members' performance. The methods could be as simple as a phone call. More commonly, it's an emailed questionnaire, but it can also be mailed or a web-based survey. Typical survey questions include availability, responsiveness, ability to communicate effectively, usefulness of online information, technical knowledge of staff, and ability to resolve problems. User support in an organization's budget may be a cost center operation. The support budget includes only expense items. A profit center operation, the support budget includes both revenue, income, and expenses. Chargeback, fees, or other income designed to offset expenses in a support group budget. So in an office where the company makes money off of the help desk, you'll see a lot more people, and the criteria will be a lot higher. Area where it's a cost center to have a help desk, then you'll see the opposite. So other justifications are how to justify user support as a cost center. Performance statistics, user satisfaction surveys. Sometimes difficult to justify support center expenses when no direct income is produced. So what you have to do to justify that is to talk about how much more efficient the employees are because of your help desk. How to justify user support as a profit center, income based on the level of support clients need. Free support or no income, fee for service, pay as you go. Premium support, a contract, which is what we want for our clients as IT consultants. Somewhat easier to justify support center expenses when revenue offsets at least some expenses. Certification, these are things that you need to get in order to qualify for certain help desk or computer user support types of jobs. Certification is an assessment process to measure and document employee knowledge and skills. Most of them are computer-based. Individual certification is a formal education, certificate, diploma, or degree. There's also vendor-specific ones, industry-standard ones, which are vendor-neutral, or certification by a support group. So some of those examples of certifications are Microsoft Office Specialist, something very common in computer user support positions, showing the applications and operating systems. Cisco Certified Network Associate. This is a little bit more in a vertical market, not industry-wide, but it is a common type of certification for support specialists that go on site and actually do the work. Apple Certified Support Professional. Well, Apple doesn't make up a big percentage of the industry, so this is definitely a less common type of certification. The most popular one out there right now is CompTIA's A+ certification, and along with that, you can get Network Security and Project Plus. I have all of these different certifications, and which I have attained both for my professional career, and also it gave me credit towards college when getting my degrees. A+ covers hardware, operating systems, configuring, installing, diagnosing, maintaining PCs. It also covers some help desk support questions as well. Then there's the ICCP's Associate Computing Professional, ASP, knowledge and skills earned in academic and vocational degree programs. There's the IC3 certification. There's multiple different IC3s, but this particular one is the entry-level hardware, software, and internet knowledge and skills. All right, we also have the Help Desk Institute Support Center Analyst, the SCA, for help desk agents. Desktop Support Technician, or DST, for user support workers who provide face-to-face technical support, and there's others as well. Microsoft's MCDST is configuring and supporting systems. This would be one of the higher end certifications. It does take quite a while to get, and will definitely be very useful in attaining a job in this area. So what are the benefits? A recognized benchmark of minimum level job skills and expertise, justification for pay increases, justification for promotions, and documents efforts to keep up to date in the field, and a feeling of accomplishment and increased job satisfaction. So you'll want to see if you can get your employer to pay for these things, as we do, in order to increase your salary and skills. Is certification a job requirement? Well, some position descriptions and job ads list specific certification requirements. For other positions, certification is optional. Provides documentation of knowledge and skills. However, job requirements in user support vary. Although, when it comes time to promote someone or hand out raises, if you've got a certification and somebody else doesn't, then that's going to look favorable on you. Popular certifications for user support. Which certifications make sense for an entry-level user support worker? Well, A+, as I mentioned, the MOS and the MCDST, of course, that one being the harder one. CompTIA's Network Plus, not a real hard test, even if you're not extremely experienced, but it's well respected. The Cisco one, however, the CCNA, is extremely hard. It takes months or even years to be able to pass that test. So if you're looking to get into computer user support, I would more recommend the Network Plus than the CCNA. More specialized would be HDI, DST, or SCA I mentioned earlier on CompTIA's Project Plus. Project Plus is actually a fairly difficult test to pass. The certification process. Acquire knowledge and skills covered by the certification exam. Evaluate your skills by taking a pretest, take the exam, and retake parts of the exam you did not pass. So in the certification process, you can either, for number one, you can either go to a class, pay for a class, like you are here at this particular college, or you can find a private company that will also do the same thing depending on the certification you're trying to get. And as far as taking the certification exam, typically they're done at testing authorized places such as Prometric, which is one of the more popular ones. And retaking parts of the certification exam, usually it's an all or nothing. Some tests allow you to retake some of it, but other tests you have to, if you don't pass the test, then you have to retake the entire test. So there are different places, as I mentioned, college and vocational technical courses targeting popular certification exams. There's crash courses. They tend to be a lot more expensive, and they're done outside of a college that are sometimes called boot camps. These could be thousands of dollars, but they'll teach you just what you need to know to pass the test. There's e-learning tutorials, use computer-based CBT or WBT training methods, and there's self-study courses, self-paced tutorials in book format. Lowest cost, and unfortunately there's not a lot of help available with the self-study. So, certification exam formats. Traditional fixed length sequence of questions and problems. That is the more common one. Then there's also computer adaptive tests. You don't see this quite as often, but when I took my Novell certifications years ago, it was adaptive. So if you answered some of the questions correct, then you got redirected to harder questions. If you didn't answer the beginning questions correct, then you got sent to easier questions until it got to the end to see whether or not you had enough points added up all together to see if you passed it. The nice thing about the adaptive tests are they tend to be a lot faster, especially if you know what you're doing. In 2008, 900,000 workers in the United States employed as computer support specialists and system administrators. So there's a lot of jobs out there in this field. 2000s decade, some reduction in support employment. 2001, 2003, 07, 09, there were recessions, and overseas outsourcing of lower level support positions happened, so there was some decrease. However, 2010's decade to forecast increases in support employment, so the future looks good for this particular type of support. There are professional associations you can join, a formal organization that represents the interests of a group or of professionals and provides services to its members. Publishes journals, magazines, and books, encourages professional growth of members through seminars and conferences, offers training and certification programs, facilitates membership contacts via email, etc. You can ask other people in the organization for help in certain areas, and encourages members to adhere to a code of ethical conduct. Examples of user support and help desk professional associations are listed here. If you want, you can pause the video and you can write some of those websites down. All right, example principles of ethical conduct for IT professionals. Adhere to federal, state, and local laws. Keep abreast of developments and trends. Advocate for a better understanding of technology among end users. Act with integrity and honesty. Avoid conflicts of interest and avoid workplace discrimination. So all those things are important, and if you're able to adhere to those, then you will do very well in the industry. Of course, you have to respect intellectual property. Don't be installing programs or software that you don't own. Protect the privacy and reputation of end users. You have to treat it sort of like an attorney or like a doctor. You don't give out information unless forced to. Perform job-related responsibilities in accordance with company policies. Got to follow the rules according to the company. Adhere to acceptable technology use policies and do not make unauthorized or personal use of property or resources. Report violations of ethical principles of conduct and report all security vulnerabilities. So in summary, we talked about user support and help desk management positions, a mission statement, managers develop a budget plan, managers using the mission statement, training, evaluation, certification, associations, and codes of conduct. So that concludes our Module 4 presentation.